believe this would be the last session before the awards, and I will try to make it as relevant, as relatable, with full of anecdotes. So first of all, I'm really, really excited to be amongst some of the finest marketing talents in this country. And for that, I will like to actually thank Business World and Dr. Batra. I don't know, I'm not seeing Dr. Batra here, but thank you so much. When this topic was given to me, from CMO to CEO, I promised two things. First is, there'll be no marketing gyan, because this is something I should be learning from you at this stage of my life, right? And the second is, keep it as anecdotal as possible. So most of the examples which you will be hearing from me are my own life's journey, straddling three companies, Hindustan Lever, LG Electronics, GoodYear India, both in India and the key global markets. I hope you find it enjoyable. The first question which came to me, how many CMOs make it to the CEO? I've done all kind of research, including all the co-pilots and ChatGPT. But there's one data in the public domain from Spencer Stuart. It has done a research of the top 500 Fortune companies. And the data states, and you hear carefully, 10% of the CMOs who move up from a CMO role make it to the CEO. I repeat again, it is not all the CMOs. It is 10% of the CMOs of the top 500 Fortune companies who then moved up to various roles, who finally made it to the CEO role. Now when you dig, you don't talk only about the 500 in US, but what about India? Data is not available, but one business leading daily has published some articles that 63% of the CMOs today have a profit target in their KPIs, and 52% have growth. And I remember hearing the talk before this. I think the Colgate Palmolive person was talking about Chief Growth Officer, and I think that is a very welcome change. And of course, he will have serious competition from the sales guy, because there's always a competition who's the growth officer driving the business. But India seems to be a little ahead of this data which was shared over there. Now, when I come to the examples, what I want to know is, what is a CEO? And I don't want to go through the whole text, but essentially a CEO is one who puts a strategy, and I heard that in the last session from some of you. He puts a vision, he puts a team, and he delivers results, or he adds value to the stakeholders, period. These are the three steps a CEO is supposed to do. What I will share with you there are some 5 points which I thought are key important learnings as I navigated my journey from an MBA in IIM Bangalore to whatever roles which I've got. And I think they are not full, but at least the anecdotes hopefully will make it interesting for you people. The first thing, I think it was alluded in the last panel also, and even in the one before that it is very important to have the strategy roadmap. See, the CMO focuses on the consumer. The heart of the intersection of operational excellence, innovation excellence, and sales and marketing excellence essentially is what? The consumer, right? But from a CMO to a CEO, you have to move from the brand to the organization. If you are able to do that, that is the role which you need to do. But I will take an example of the bottom left over there. And I'll be honest, it is from one of the leading global companies where I worked in the tire space. Now, a few years back, if you look over there, it says, the strategy roadmap says, being the top 3 global companies in the world. I'm talking about GoodYear, just to be very clear. But 2 years back, after internally debating and whatever we said we will move to enabling mobility. I think this is one of the key differentials and one of the most important decisions a CEO has to take. Where do you want the goalpost to move? When you are a tire company, and I'm just taking one as an example, it's a plain, vanilla, transactional tire being sold, whether it's a truck or a two-wheeler or a passenger. But when you are doing enabling mobility, the game becomes very different. And how does that happen? We are in Delhi, right? We are Delhi, NCR, Gurgaon. Did some Googling, 125,000 odd app-based vehicles are there. App-based means Ola, Uber, and there used to be a Blue Smart at one time, which is not there, I guess, right? So even if 75% of these are moving on the roads, you have 300 tires moving at any given time on the roads. Look at an Uber and an Ola. You know the business models. They don't want to handle vehicles. They don't want to handle tires. It's a bloody plain point for them. That's where a company like GoodYear, Bridgestone, or any other company can move in. Because 300,000 tires at any one moment requires what is the time, what is the pressure, what is the heat, when do you need to rotate, when you need to replace. And if we are able to make proprietary software, which the companies have made now, you actually reframe yourself from a pure manufacturing product-based company to a software kind of a company, where there's hardly any capex. Your return on capital, your ROI suddenly shoot up. And that is what the importance of a CEO is. Not just think of the product, but how the business model works, how I am able to enhance my ROCEs and ROIs. This is what was done, and the whole way of working for this company has changed. And of course, the standard stuff of how we work, where we win, and how we will focus are some things which we can all do together. But the most important part for the CEO is, where do you want the company, how do you want to shift the goalpost? Come to the second point, business model. You got a great product, you have a great brand. What do you do with it? You can sit at home with it. How do you go to the market, GTM? How do you make it efficient? And I'll give you 3 examples from my journey. 1999, I was a head of beverages in Hindustan Lever in Maharashtra. There was a major issue of going to the tier 4 and tier 5 towns. It was because there were 5 departments in Hindustan Lever at that time. I don't know if any of you were there at that time. Detergents, personal products, beverages, food, ice cream. Everybody wanted to go to the tier 4, tier 5 because they had pretty much saturated most of the other tiers. So a team was built. The project was called Project Streamline. What we did was, we took the territory of Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg in Maharashtra. Anybody from that area, anybody familiar? If not, at least it is really sparse. People are far and few between. Cost to serve does not make any economic sense. So we made first a portfolio of 25 items, excluding ice creams. We had the small LUPs, low unit packs. Some of you are from FMCG, I guess. So we had LUPs of shampoo sachets, LUPs of tea sachets, small 50 paisa, 10 paisa at that time packets. So once we had the portfolio, how do I reach these guys? How do I make it economical? So there is at least one place which I think you people are familiar. It's called Chiplun. Chiplun was one of them. So we said, okay, let's go to the biggest distributor stroke wholesaler in that place. When we went there, we asked, who all are there in your family? We found 2, 3 brothers are there, and when you go into the hinterland of India, you'll see that people are not fully engaged. There is a hidden unemployment. So what happens? They were very happy if you get them to get some assignment for them. So we said, okay, take a van and put the PJPs. PJP, I think a lot of you should be understanding, permanent journey plan of the sales guys, right? Monday you go like this, Tuesday you go like this, Wednesday you go like this. So one of the brothers will go and take the orders, And then the next day the order, the deliveries will happen. The dispatches will happen from Kolhapur to the Konkan area. As far as Hindustan Lever is concerned, they are protecting their cash, they are protecting their exposure. And in a carpet of 50 kilometers, you were actually able to carpet bomb that area. That whole model works so well. Today I understand most of the rural distributor in India is following that pattern. It is called the hub and spoke pattern. It started with Hindustan Lever. I don't know who picked home, but finally a lot of people today when I talk to them, they say we are doing that. That was the first one. Second, 2009, I moved to LG Electronics. I had a Korean boss called S.H. Park. He was a deputy managing director. He said, Sandeep, I'm having a major issue with profitability of modern trade across globe. He had come from US. And I expect modern trade in 2009, he said, is going to let us not make any money. Now, in Hindustan Lever, I was global head of pears, dalda, and rice. So I've seen the brutal way Carrefour and the top guys, Carrefour, Lulu, Panda, you take Sainsbury, Asda, Walmarts, Costco, you would find it very, very difficult to make money. And that's what was going to happen here. He said, let's put up a channel called Brand Shop, 2009. And he said, I want 500 brand shops in 1 year. Look at the data. Many of you would have gone to LG brand shops. There were 80 brand shops till 2008. LG Electronics came in 1997. 11 years, 80 brand shops. We made 1,400 brand shops from 2009 to 2012. We did modulation. The rollout was the fastest and much faster than McDonald's or anybody else. And he taught how to do it, the ROI of each of them, support for the key metros because you need to handhold them. It is outside the purview of today's discussion. Today, in a $3.5 billion LG Electronics, 22% of the sales come from brand shops. It is the best poster boy for premiumization. You have the biggest OLEDs over there, the best inverter ACs, you name it, it's all there. And it's the most profitable channel. There was a guy called S.H. Park who thought like that, and that's how it has happened. It's still there all over the country, you can go and have a look. The third one was handling the peers business globally. I had a major challenge in Canada. I wanted to give a global kind of a flavor so that you understand the challenges. Now, what is the biggest problem in Canada distribution is, you have the East Coast, Toronto and others. You have the West Coast, which is the Vancouver's, and pretty much nothing there in between. So the traditional model of distribution does not work because the cost economics don't work. So after a lot of introspection and whatever, I turned it upside down. We went to the largest logistic provider in Canada. The name was Thomas Large and Singer. We said, why don't you become a distributor? They were so happy. They took it up, consolidated. The last annual report of Hindustan Lever, which I have seen, even after 20 years, they are still one of the distributors of Canada. So you need to build sustainable, long-term distribution, a key to the success of a business. People, we always talk about winning teams, but it is not so easy, winning teams. There's a saying, people are the most important assets. I fully don't agree with it. I believe the right people are the most important assets. There's a book called Good to Great, very good learnings, and I've always imbibed it. Get the right people in the bus, get the wrong people out of the bus, then get the right people in the right seats. It's in that order. 2012, when I moved to GoodYear, the global president came and said, we want to close the farm business because it is making a loss in the replacement business. Can you do something about it? You have experience of LG and whatever else. So one of the frameworks we had in Hindustan Lever is able, unable, willing, unwilling. And of course, you do the other piece of marketing which we don't discuss here. I said no marketing gyan here, right? So we went the whole team through that. We found almost 40% did not match. We did consequence management. After 2 years, till maybe last month or at least till last year end, the business shares have gone from 18% in 3 years to 36%, highly profitable, and to even today, 10 years of market leadership, category captaincy. So these are not something which is a 1 year, 2 year kind of flavor of the month or something. It has to be sustainable growth, sustainable leadership. That is the key to success. I think the other one which generally we don't talk when we are in the ivory towers of head office, right? We mostly are sitting there, and no offense to anybody here. But when you move out of the CMO role and you look at other like logistics, finance, and the biggest chunk actually is in the manufacturing. There is a process called CBA. CBA happens every 3 to 4 years where the increments of the labor is actually decided. It is one of the most tough kind of decisions and discussions which happen. Sometimes it goes for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. But alignment of stakeholders become very, very important. If we are able to handle it properly, it really helps your business. If you are not able to, it leads to strike, because that is a period when the unions jump in, the so-called politicians jump in, the vested interests jump in, everybody jumps in, and it becomes murky. So alignment of stakeholder doesn't mean people who are sitting in the head office or the board member. It actually means these kind of people who are there. And how do we make it happen? Integrity and communication, standard stuff. We don't talk much about integrity, and we have seen what has happened in the last 1 month. A leading food company, the global CEO, chairman have left, and we have had so many other examples. I'll give you 2 examples. I became the managing director of GoodYear India in 2020 June. I think many of you remember 2020 was one of the worst years as the biggest disruption which happened, which is, right, COVID. And after 2 months, we were slowly allowed to open the factories. We had 2 factories, 2 companies, roughly 3,000 people and 3,000 more in 3Ps. How do you make sure tomorrow the factory will open? How do you make sure there is no incident? So we made it very clear. We will start small. We'll communicate everything. If there's a case, we'll tell there's a case. We are isolating. We are shutting this place. We had all the hotels around Aurangabad and all the hotels rooms where we could get around Ballabgarh, so that people do not have to go home, because there was a scare that if he goes home, there is going to be passing of COVID. And slowly we kept on working on it. In the front end, which is the sales side, first it was virtual calls. Then we made sure that you go, but you will not stay in the hotel. You will just work from outside. I think you gave us kind of a safe space. It's not just this company. I must salute the Indian industry, and when we were in touch with all the networks, all of us helped each other, and I think we did a fantastic job around it. So integrity is something you have to look at. Another example I'll give you. 10 years back, the Maggie debacle which happened. Are you aware of the Maggie debacle? There were quality issues, lead was found, other stuff was found, it was taken away. My boss, Suresh Narayan, he was my boss in Hindustan Lever at that time. He was brought in on 1st August 2015. And later on public domain also you can hear what he said. From day one, he said transparency. We'll tell the way it is, the way what we are doing, what is not working, what is working, and build the trust. And by October, the Maggie stocks were back. 2 examples. I'll give you one business example. I don't know how many of you like B2B, because most of the people here, FMCG and replacement and consumer centric, but I think B2B is also a very important ingredient as you move along the ladder from the CMO role. One of the biggest areas where there's a problem is the pricing discussion. So what happens is there is always a suspicion between the seller and the buyer. Raw materials have gone down, please give us the benefit. Raw materials have gone up, please do not give us anything, we will not take. 2012, when I joined the GoodYear business, within 6 months we put a raw material indexing in place, the first in the tire industry. We were still the market leader at 26. And we said, in a very transparent manner, we'll tell you 50% is rubber, so much is natural, so much is synthetic, 25% is carbon black, so much is chemicals. These are the places we are monitoring globally. Every 3 months we sit, see the data, and we agree on price hike or price down. From 26 our shares went to 36. I think it's still 35% and that's why they're the market leader even today. So it is very important to build a trust when you're doing the business. Technology, I think AI, there's so much of AI, you wonder what the hell is going on, but I'll give you a few examples which will help you understand how you can leverage it and how. Let's take the tire company. You have heard of driverless vehicles. If you're in US, you would have actually traveled into it. I'll give you my example. My own chacha, Bay Area, he had an eye problem. He bought the top level of Tesla. He said, I just got over there. And 1,600 kilometers we went to whatever place and came back. I didn't do anything. But that's the beauty. But what's the technology behind it? If a vehicle is there and there's a road behind it, what is the touch point? It's the tires. So you put a chip in the tire, you put the sensors in the vehicle, and that actually tells you the topography of the road. It tells there's a pothole, it tells you there is a snow, it tells you where there is a bump coming, there is a turn coming, and that is one of the reasons why an autonomous, I'm making it very simple for this meeting, that actually helps. What is in it for you guys or the producer? It has gone into a subscription model. So if you want that package, you please pay so much, right? So a company like tires, which is only believing in, I'll sell only one tire, is suddenly becoming an OTT platform where every month you're getting a percentage of the subscription. That is the power of AI. Second example, in consumer electronic, consumer durables, I don't know how many of you are there. The most important thing, one of the most important things I learned from my boss in LG, Soon Kwan. I think there was a person but Soon Kwan was LG #1. He said, Sandeep, the biggest thing is not only the product, it is the customer service. You have remembered how many Sony Sanyos were there, Hitachis were there in 90s. Where are all them? It's all LG, Samsung. And one of the reasons is the excellent customer service you get over there. I think somebody might have to do the solutions anyway. So I had a problem that in the passenger vehicle, if there's a replacement, somebody is saying my tire puncture has happened, I want a replacement. I would take 3 days to replace. The guy will say, what the hell, I have a pain point, please replace now. And they will do fights. So what we did was, because when you replace a tire, you whatever has already been utilized, you give that benefit to that. So we slice the tires in 5, 10, 15, whatever, put all the images, thousands of images in the AI, gave all the dealers in the country that you shoot the tire when somebody comes, it will go to the central, from there they will tell this percentage is what is the wear and tear, and within half an hour the decision will come. So that is how AI has helped. I also am an advisor in a digital transformation company, mostly into US, but 2 companies in India which I was sitting and discussing, one of them happens to be in Delhi. It's a $2.5 billion company. Now, I don't think many people are aware that there are 20,000 crore companies sitting in Delhi. but you'll be surprised, it has got 20 different subsidiaries in the automobile space. So the CFO said, I have a pain point. My pain point is I get 20, by the month end, 20 P&Ls. By the time I aggregate all of them, and all of them are indisciplined, so we don't get all of them together, by 2021st, I'm actually able to tell the top management what has happened, which is ridiculous. So now with AI, NML, and all the other stuff, the 21 days has shrunk to 3 days. And now it's going to be 1 day. You need to know what has happened last month. You can't wait 3 months and do it. So that's the first part. Yesterday, I was in one of the leading food companies around here only. And they said, the guy told me that we have a major issue. Sometimes it rains so badly, sometimes there are floods. I have so much of shelf life. And there is something called, if 70% of the shelf life is not relevant, we don't take it. The retail doesn't take it. Then I have slow moving, and then I have to write off. So what do I do? So now we are co-working with them to shrink it from, and he said that we have 15% of whatever inventory is there, which we have a problem, this way, that way. Yeah. So what do we do on this? So he said, okay, we're working with them and making it 10% of whatever it is. And that is the beauty of AI. You save money, you're efficient, you're agile. So friends, from a CMO to a CEO, it's not a leap, it's a journey. And from building a brand to building a company, I'm building a company which has a lasting profitability and a business model. That is a journey I think all of you will embark on. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.